It's 6 o'clock on a Tuesday evening in Newcastle, Australia. It's 9 in the morning in Manchester, England. And this is the only place in the world where the greatest players in the game gather for a weekend of footy rather than blow it off in Bali. And where the only thing that was let loose in the south of France overnight was a bull trying his luck to get back into the top flight. Yes, this is the Sideline Chat podcast, the one-stop shop for rugby league. Along with Mark Henry, I'm Connor Marcellus, and tonight it is your NRL Week 11 debrief, starting off with a very interesting clash to say the least. The Melbourne Storm up against the Brisbane Broncos.
Broncos are exactly the same. No changes. Even Capewell is playing despite suffering a head knock against Manly.
As for Craig Bellamy's son, Tui Kamakamefa has been listed in the reserves and could expect to see him get a late call-up ahead of Thursday night's clash to open up round 11 of the NRL. Now, both of these sides had a mixed reception at Magic round just gone last week. The Broncos bouncing back in first-class fashion, downing the Manly Sea Eagles 32-6, whilst Melbourne, surprise, surprise, went down to South Sydney 28 points to 12.
I like how you're calling surprise of Melbourne going down to South Sydney, whereas I call it, so it wasn't really a surprise.
Yeah, shut up. Just like, oh, look at me, I picked 5 in a row. Yeah, but the Dragons lost to the Tigers, so suffering your jock straps there. Yeah. Now, let's talk about Melbourne first up. They're back at home after a weekend they'd probably rather forget.
Yeah, Melbourne were very, very off against South Sydney. I mean, I thought they were going to be one of the better games, like one of the best games, if not the best game of the round at Magic. But it was a bit far from that. South pretty much dominated the whole game.
The thing was, they had to keep Latrell Mitchell quiet. I sort of reckon, shut Latrell down, they shut the Rabbitohs down, but apparently someone forgot to tell the rest of that left edge about that, because their right side defensively just was brittle as.
Oh, bloody oath it was. And you could see it, like, pretty much from the get-go, you could see that was going to be the side that they'll be targeting a lot.
Now, Alex Johnston, 200th game, he brings up 2 tries in 200, rather fittingly. It would have been awkward if he scored a hat trick out of that.
Hey, you nearly got a hat trick, though. Nearly.
Yeah, but, look, the Rabbitohs were humming nicely. I got to say, they really put Melbourne on the back foot and just unsettled them.
Yeah, I mean, they shut down Munster, which it's a very hard feat in itself. And he tried, but he just couldn't get anywhere with the kicking ball. Even his running game wasn't used himself because South was just all over it.
South Sydney backed their goal line defence right up until the death. They just turned Melbourne away time after time. And I got to say, Cody Walker, I think he de facto became man of the match in my eyes. 1 try, 2 try assists, 67 run meters, 2 tackle breaks, an offload, and a goal line dropout. Now, why do I say he's de facto?
Because of an incident.
Latrell Mitchell.
Yes.
How in the hell was he not sin-binned?
If not sent off.
Or at least disciplined. And how is it that it's just play on when it comes to Latrell Mitchell? Is he like Teflon Billy or something?
Probably. No, but that incident where, what did he do? Like, had a second grab at Harry
Grant?
He
had a crack at Harry Grant. That's what happened.
That was, that should have been at least a penalty.
That should have easily
in favour
been
of
penalty Melbourne. But the fact that his name was Latrell Mitchell, they just thought, oh yeah, let's just back up right here. It's Latrell Mitchell. Yep, just rub an elbow into an opposition man's face. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Just get
so
aggressive.
Penalty would have been the least of the least of the crime, but it should have been a sin bin as well.
I'll guarantee you, if it was Jared Waerea-Hargreaves or Victor Radley who'd done
Gone.
that in his
Gone.
they'd bin him.
Gone.
They'd honestly bin them if that was someone like JWH or Victor the Inflictor.
And you know what? It didn't even get put on report either.
Absolutely.
Again, with JWH and Radley would have been
report
in the bin. Even
absolutely
a sent
disgusting.
off.
That was not the case.
There was no need for it. Like, seriously, absolutely no need for it.
And he had the ball. He just came down with the ball and he was willing to go into a punch-on.
Yeah, exactly. That's just absolutely ridiculous.
Now, speaking of players that were unbelievable, the Broncos get Payne Haas back into the lineup and bang.
Yeah, Broncos looked a lot...
Tenfold improvement.
They looked a lot better with Payne Haas back in the side. He was just running metre after metre and barging his way through in the middle. Unfortunately, he didn't score a try, but he did his work, what he had to do in the middle of the ruck.
It was a solid effort from Payne Haas, but you just looked at what Manly were like 10 paces back. They just did not get into that game against the Broncos one bit.
And it was like, what? No, sorry, I got that wrong.
It was 20-0 at one stage. It was dead set. Manly were sitting at 0.
Yeah, until late on in the piece. We nearly had a scoreless second half. Nearly.
What did it take? 20 minutes from memory?
About that. Just over 10 minutes to go.
Well, the right side of the Broncos was absolutely poking holes everywhere they could. And look, we could see it because we were there. Daly Cherry Evans was bloody trying his heart out. Dead set. He was doing everything he could to try and turn the tide against the Brisbane Onslaught. But it was just, no. It was just denied time after time.
Exactly right. Even Tommy Turbo couldn't get going. Like, as you said previously, he still doesn't look 100%.
He isn't. He clearly isn't. I think it would be wise if he withdrew from this year's State of Origin series. I reckon he needs at least another, I don't know, what did you say, 6 months, maybe another year to get his running technique down right, so then when he starts opening up, he doesn't have that fear of maybe doing his hamstring all over again.
Yeah, exactly.
But and even when he was on the ball, he was pushing passes that he probably normally wouldn't. I'm thinking about that third intercept try that Selwyn Cobbo scored.
Oh,
he
was on fire, Cobbo.
He's dead set. He did not need to push that pass.
Nah, that's probably, again, a fear factor of getting tackled and injuring himself on the turf that they were iffy about all weekend.
Now, speaking of Selwyn Cobbo, he gets... It's the full 3 from me. The hat-trick of tries he scored, the 2 in the first half, followed up by the 60-metre intercept try he picked off from Tommy Turbo. 203 running metres is from the young Queensland winger. 3 tackle breaks and a line break, so he gets the full 3 votes there. Reece Walsh, I think, a nice supporting act as well. 163 run metres, 2 try assists, 13 tackle breaks.
Yeah.
This bloke was Reece Lightning. Dead set. Reece Lightning, you would have to say.
How many catches,
line break,
how
2
many
votes.
air contests did he have to deal with and successfully get them and then still gain some meters from it? He was literally in nearly every single play. He was awesome, Reece Walsh. I was going to say Reece Lightning then. But yeah, Reece Walsh, he was unbelievable.
Yeah, just absolute gun players the Broncos have got at the moment. Bouncing back after that loss to South Sydney without Mam and Haas. They just did not skip a beat at all. It's just like the 2 of them come back in. The Broncos keep a 2-game winning buffer over the Rabbitohs at this point, who are currently sitting second.
Yeah, and it showed that how well and why they are on top of the ladder.
Now, historically speaking, the Broncos have not played well against the Melbourne Storm, regardless of the venue. No matter if it's at Suncorp, Sydney, or even in Melbourne where this game's going to be, the Broncos have not won a game in Melbourne in 7 years.
Bit of a record.
It's a drought.
Well, that too.
Historically against them.
Yeah.
Even with this flying form they've got heading into the first Origin period.
Well, Melbourne will be looking to bounce back after their horrific performance.
Oh, no. Dead set. Bellyache is going to drive his players into the ground, and then he's going to drive them into hell where they don't want to end up going. It's like the Devils see he's Craig Bellamy ascending from on the ground above. He's just like, I don't want to deal with him.
Yeah.
He's all yours.
And we'll know hopefully before this game, what his coaching future is like, because apparently it's supposed to be a decision made this week sometime.
Now, we have speculated what Craig Bellamy's going to do. Ultimately, I've suggested previously well, actually, we were talking off air about this yesterday, just so I can get my thoughts right. If Brad Fittler gets sacked in the event New South Wales lose this year's Origin Series, not saying that will happen, but in that scenario...
Well, they're the favourites to win.
I would have Craig Bellamy given the head job with the Blues. It makes sense. He's not going to be attached to Melbourne full-time. He'll be put in the backroom stuff when he does retire. So then he'll have a lot more time, get back into the Origin arena, and I think he'll have a lot more success than when he first took up the job in the mid-2000s.
Well, I've heard that it sounds like he is going to coach on for Melbourne Storm for another year. That's what I've heard. Whether or not that's right, only time will tell this week.
I dead set think he should go out on top this year. Just if Melbourne make the finals or if they make the grand final, I reckon just quit while you're ahead. Don't go for 1 year too long. That would be my ultimate concern because he has been one of the game's best coaches of this generation.
Have to agree with that one there.
And only missed the finals once because that was enforced by the NRL because, not his doing, but the club was cheating in running the second set of books. But a three-time premiership winner, if he can pick up Melbourne for another grand final appearance, I would just leave it at that. I would not even try for another year after that.
See what happens.
Anyway, I reckon Melbourne need to really manhandle Payne Haas. If he goes forward, he brings everyone else onto the game. If they need Nelson to go after Haas early, if Melbourne are a chance. And I would be going at Katoni Staggs and Selwyn Cobbo on the attack. Munster really needs to put pressure on the both of them there.
Well,
I think the Melbourne Storm, in a tight one, they get home 1-6.
Well, I need to tell you someone who needs to get more balls is Xavier Coates for Melbourne. He has not had much ball over the last few weeks, and even again on Magic, he just didn't get it. He just hasn't been playing at his absolute best that he has seasons gone by. So maybe this is a chance for him to do it against his former club. But in saying that, Brisbane winners are still bloody in fine form. But Melbourne, bit hard to beat. Broncos, as you said, record isn't very good. Melbourne 1-6.
Yeah, I just think this will be a perfect game for Craig Bellamy to rev up his side, knowing that State of Origin is only 3 weeks away tomorrow at the time of recording this. Now, on to the first of the two Friday night games, sees the Canterbury Bulldogs up against the New Zealand Warriors.
Warriors, there are a few changes. Jackson Ford has suffered a head knock, and so has Ed Cossey with a knee. So that pushes Josh Curran into the second row with Rocco Berry coming into the centres, with Marcelo Montoya pushing out to the wing. Ronald Volkman is the new 5'8", with Dylan Walker going back to the bench, and Bailey Sirenen is the 18th man.
As for Cameron Serraldo's side, the Fox, Josh Addo-Carr, is back after that horrible injury he suffered on Good Friday against South. He takes his spot back on the left flank with Declan Casey dropping back to the reserves. No Sam Hughes, so Harrison Edwards gets a second crack. And Ryan Sutton has been included amongst the reserves as well. Now, the Warriors ended up going down to the Penrith Panthers 18 points to 6 on the opening game of day 2, whilst the Dogs opened up Magic Round, albeit in a defeat to the Canberra Raiders 34-30.
But they didn't go without a fight.
Oh, God, no.
The Canberra did pull a marge on them, but the Dogs, as always, just won't go away, and they come oh so close for him.
I'm just going to say it, just like, we could have stopped half of the Raiders' tries because some of them were just simple mistakes. I mean, that's it, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, look at, I think it was Matt Timokhol's first try, off the scrum play. That should have easily been stopped. And then just tidying up on the loose ball. Hudson Young just screamed his way through from the knock-on, and he was in the right position at the right time to nail that try as well.
Yeah, I think it's just, as you said, too many errors in the Dogs that cost them the match.
But I think another thing was we let the middle get dominated by the Raiders. And especially, I got to say this, Corey Horsburgh. How many times was I screaming to put him down when he was probably carrying them for 20, 25 metres in one run?
Multiple times. He nearly played the 80 minutes.
It was a big effort. He played up to an hour of football at lock forward, where it's not easy to do when you're a middle forward, but still, kudos. He gets my full 3 votes as the Raiders stat. And 180 running meters, 4 tackle breaks, 13 hit-ups, 1 offload, and a mammoth 30 tackles with, I think, 2 misses or 2 ineffective tackles. I think that was what was listed there. But I think at the same time, Jamal Fogarty also played a big part of it as well. 26 run meters, 2 try assists, 3 tackle breaks, a goal line dropout, and also making 14 tackles in defense with, I think, no real misses. So he gets 2 votes from me as well.
Well, Jamal Fogarty, he pretty much let Whiten run around the ruck, and he just took control of the kicking. I don't recall seeing Jack Whiten kick very often on a tackle 5. It was more all Fogarty and let Whiten run right.
Well, he certainly ran right, and of course, setting Xavier Savage up, just reading the field perfectly. That little chip over the top that sent Savage on his way, on his return game.
Savage has got absolute speed behind him too, so there was absolutely no chance the Dogs could stop him there. I mean, the cover defence, though, coming from the other side of the field across, if I remember that correctly. I don't recall who it was. I think it might have been Avarillo or someone on the Dogs' right-hand side. They come across field, nearly caught him, but it wasn't quite there in time. But still, nice chase to try and make him not come around to make the conversion easier.
Well, regardless, Jared Croker just iced it anyway.
Well, yeah.
Of course, Canterbury, as you said, they just stuck it into the game. Matt Burton terrorising oppositions with his Torpedo Burton bomb special.
But no one dropped it.
No, they just let it bounce, and then Carraz and Avarillo did all the rest.
Pretty much.
And Jacob Preston, my God, just...
Double.
The tries of kicks we were scoring was insane. Just when the Raiders shut down that sweep we usually do, Carraz goes to the center, Avarillo goes to his outside, and then they try and catapult Avarillo down the right-hand touchline. Croker and Savage were well aware of what was going on. No room whatsoever for those two to move, and it would have been a lot easier for Canberra had they not given away a penalty try with 3 minutes to go.
Yeah.
That penalty try to Hayes Perham at 34-30, that could have easily put the Dogs back into the game.
But wasn't to be, unfortunately. But still, it was a mouth-watering game to open up Magic Weekend.
As for the Warriors, they actually scored the first try against the defending Premiers. It was just a beautiful ball that saw Adam Fanua-Blake slice his way through.
Yeah.
But they still couldn't break him down.
No, well, Penrith weren't at their best either. They're still not 100% themselves this season. They're not as dominant as what we're used to. But even with the 2 sin binnings that the Warriors got, they only let in 1 try in the second round of the sin bins, which is a very, very solid effort. The Penrith Panthers come close when Jackson Ford got put in the bin. For his hip,
it was a hip
drop. The only hip drop sin bin in all weekend, mind you. So that's a massive improvement. But to nearly hold out Penrith in 2 rounds of sin bins, that's pretty solid defensive work. And Sean Johnson, he controlled the Warriors, and he was trying to keep him down at the Panthers end of the field when they were down a player.
I was watching Johnson from the southern end. How many times did you see him chase through his own bombs? Like when he
multiple though.
It wasn't enough for my liking.
Well,
he dragged the Warriors against the Sharks. He dragged them back into that contest because he competed. He didn't look like he was competing on every single bomb he was putting up. He should have been.
No.
He should have been creating the line speed that saw Penrith get pushed back on their own 10 on tackle 1.
But how many grubber kicks did he put through to false goal line dropouts in back-to-back 3 sets in a row or wherever it was? There was a few sets in a row where he put grubber kicks in and managed to force a goal line dropout, though.
Then there was that questionable kick he put in for Dallin with Zalesniak, or tried to put in for him, where it just didn't have the bounce.
No.
He shouldn't have done that. It was just poor execution on a poor idea.
Yeah, but you're under the pump. Like, you had to think on the spot and very, very quickly. So,
well, I'll tell you someone who did think on the spot, and that was Dylan Edwards. 1 try, 1 try assist, 257 running meters, 8 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, an offload, and a goal line dropout. He picks up the full 3 votes for me.
Just goes to show how very well he is, Dylan Edwards.
Underrated. He is completely underrated in this fullback conversation. But, I tell you what, with Tom Trbojevic not at his best, I reckon Edwards is quite easily now inside the top 5 fullbacks based on current form.
Oh, bloody
Tedesco, Edwards,
Latrell.
maybe Latrell. I'm not really sold on the idea. Clint Gutherson, I think he's also a top 5 fullback going at the moment. And the Hammer. All right, split between the Hammer and Will Kennedy for your top 5 fullbacks at the moment. Because, as you wanted to say, but you forgot about Brian Pappenhausen. You didn't say Tom Trbojevic. Look, if they were playing and they were at their best, I would absolutely say Pappenhausen and Tom Trbojevic are amongst the top 5 fullbacks. But one is continuously sidelined with injury with no real timeline on his return. The other one is still trying to learn to run again, and he is nowhere near his absolute best that we know he's capable of.
Yeah.
So that's why I say they are not amongst the top 5 fullbacks at the present time.
Yeah. But Dylan, he took the bombs with ease, no dramas whatsoever. He was a very reliable fullback.
But I tell you what, Ed Cosi.
Bloody hell.
Damn, boy, how many hard hits were there in that game?
There was a few in consecutive sets too, like bloody oath.
I mean, he levels up Stephen Crichton. Then Crichton gets one back when he levels up Dylan Walker.
Yeah.
That was a hospital pass. Whoever passed that to Walker, they should get stood down.
Well, obviously not, because...
Or they have to go in front of Stephen Crichton as a hospital pass.
Maybe. But yeah, there was that many hard hits. It made the whole ground, like, what would you say, react to it.
The stadium shook.
Yeah.
It dead set shook.
Yeah. And we're not telling fibs here.
Yeah, no, sir. Now, with the Warriors, I think, given how well they've started the year, I think no one really expected them to be in the conversation for the top 8 at the moment. And they've had a couple of hard games to get through. Of course, they got nilled by the Roosters in Auckland in round 9 when it was completely torrential weather conditions. They could not break down the Panthers' defense outside the first try they scored. And losing Kosi didn't really help the case either. When you lose a winger, it's very hard. And Penrith identified where exactly to attack.
Yeah.
When they had limited opportunities.
And having 2 sim bins as well doesn't help.
Exactly. It just broke down for the Warriors a little bit. Had everything gone their way, because the One New Zealand sponsor, their CEO actually came out and accused the referees and the NRL of cheating. They were like, implied that there was a conspiracy that they had to make sure the Warriors didn't win week in, week out.
Yeah, I mean, don't know how much you can read into it. I think it's just trying to get a bit of the headlines going, I personally think. But the NRL wouldn't do that, surely not.
Oh, no, it's not like there's certain players or clubs that are protected from absolute scrutiny, right?
Rabbitohs. Roosters. With their salary cap.
No, but I think there are some... I wouldn't say there is... Well, I mean, Graham Annesley's had to come out and say it is a flat-out rejection that the NRL and the referees are biased towards one club or one play at a time. Of course, the fans and the media, we all have our own different views on the matter. I mean, we can say, hey, there are certain decisions that benefit some clubs while others get punished big time for it. The referees union has also come out and said that they're wanting some recourse against the One New Zealand.
Yeah, apparently there could be a bit of a court case happening with that.
For slander, yeah, it's a rough business.
But if One NZ have come out and done this, have said that, well, how many other major sponsors want to come out and say something like that? Like, I'm just using major sponsors like St. George, Laundry, MG, just as examples as well. But they probably all have other things to say about referees and that as well. But they don't want to because they know what the consequences will be.
It's just one man's opinion against another. That's all it is. It's a he said, and lose-lose argument for everyone involved. Now, the Warriors, again, I think they'll be smiting, but I can't go past the inclusion of Josh Adokar. I mean, is his ankle going to be fully right? Probably not.
Well...
But is he going to be the chief motivator and the Energizer Bunny that Canterbury desperately need? Yes.
Well...
He will. He will dead set
Well,
be driving the standard of training, and then he'll be calling the shots on game day. That's exactly what he's going to do.
Well, apparently he could have been... He was ready to go for Magic Round, but then the doctors overruled him. So he should... If he was that close to playing the Magic Round, then he should be right. He should be right for this weekend against the Warriors.
And of course, the Warriors' record in Australia at the moment hasn't been exactly crash hot. The majority of their wins coming at home in New Zealand. And I reckon the Bulldogs, they were a lot better than what they dished up against the Raiders
Like
on
I said,
day
just
one.
too many errors that cost the
I think you cut them out, you bring the Fox back in, because I think... You look at Alamotti, for instance. I reckon Alamotti and Burton were both lost when they didn't have their main go-to man.
Oh, bloody oath.
And on the outside. So I reckon you'll see Canterbury focus more on their left edge than they have done in recent weeks.
And, well, Avarella's in absolute fine form as well.
They just got to make sure they get that balance right. That's what I think they need to do. Balance the left and the right edge attacks in equal measure. But I think the Bulldogs do bounce back here. I think they bounce back 7-12. I don't think they really put the Warriors to the sword. I still have massive respect for the Kiwi team.
I think a lot of people do, like being also, as you said, being up at Suncorp, and when obviously they're going, like the teams coming out onto the field and that, the Warriors got a really, really good reception. And I said to you there, I said, what they've done for the league during COVID and all that stuff, the restrictions on travel and all that stuff, they sacrificed a lot to stay out here to keep the competition going.
That's it.
And I think that's where a lot of people have picked up a lot of respect for the Warriors. And the reception they got at Suncorp was absolutely really, really good.
Now, I do hope the NRL think about how to reward the Warriors. I mean, it's not going to be the case of, we'll give you a free run to the finals or all that. But they really got to start throwing the Kiwis a bone. The Warriors need a bone to say, come to New Zealand. You showed all our faith.
Well, they had the All-Stars match this year.
More. I mean more. Like big ticket events going across the Tasman.
In saying that, though, I have heard from Inside the 10 on one of the journos on the Sunday Footy Show on Channel 9 that obviously Magic Round's contract at Suncorp Stadium is coming to an end next year. Maybe Auckland's been thrown into the mix.
You know what? Dead set. Magic Round at Eden Park. That would be... Not just that, but I reckon the Warriors, I've said in the past, deserve to play the whole season in New Zealand. They don't leave New Zealand at all, unless it's for the finals, I reckon.
Yeah.
But the whole home and away season, they do not leave New Zealand, and instead... They buy games from the other 16 clubs in Australia, and they say, we'll buy home games off you. You come play us over here. And then they can take them up and down the North and the South Island, just cover New Zealand with rugby league content week in, week out, and maybe potentially try and build the case to try and peel some numbers off rugby union. A little bit idealistic, but hey...
Or if the NRL want to keep Magic Round at Suncorp, maybe bring the Nines back over in Auckland again.
Yeah, I think the Nines, with the hectic scheduling, World Cup years, all that, I think it's...
But like even
the
just
Nines has really become sort of like this...
a thing of the past.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get a Nines tournament back.
Or maybe one just to reward the New Zealanders.
Nah, I don't think that'll happen.
Or like I said, there has been talks, Auckland has been thrown into the mix to have the Magic Round. Not confirmed, but it's been thrown into the mix along with Perth.
I would honestly incentivise more test matches played in New Zealand. Like, I think the Kiwis, perfect opportunity, Mateo Matonga, Toa Samoa, and of course the Kangaroos all come over and they play test tours of New Zealand. I think
So, like at Mount Smart, Eden Park, the Cake Tin,
maybe not Wellington, not Sky Stadium in Wellington, but I reckon just open it up.
Or Waikato.
Open league up across New Zealand. Just North
Where-
Island, South Island. I
whatever
don't care. Just play
whatever,
somewhere.
whatever stadium held the All Stars match this year, or what do you call it, Forsyth Bar, if that still exists.
Yeah, but just I would do that as well if they can't get to stay a whole season in New Zealand.
Yeah,
That's neither here or there. Now,
We've
main
gone off
Friday
country.
night game. The Penrith Panthers up against the Sydney Roosters. The Roosters, of course, reeling after Egan Butcher was ruled out automatically under the NRL's mandatory 11-day stand-down policy for concussion. So Angus Crichton has been promoted into the starting forward pack on the left edge, you would expect, and Fletcher Baker rejoins the bench. Still, Sam Walker amongst the reserves for Trent Robinson.
Same 17 for Penrith, with Lee Martin again listed amongst the reserves after missing the last 3 games again with his hamstring.
Now the Roosters, I think James Tedesco summed it up. It's just like he put his own team on blast after they went down to the Cowboys unexpectedly 20 points to 6.
Well, the Cowboys just adapted to the conditions quicker because when they would have arrived at the ground, it would have been dry, fast track.
A little bit chopped up, but not too bad.
But then, 10 minutes before kickoff, the rain came.
I mean, holy shit. It was like
It came fast.
Dragons' tears were flowing thick and fast at Suncorp Stadium, and it was just the heavens opened up so fast. Even Illawarra didn't want a bar of it.
Nah. Well, I said to this co-host over here, Connor, I said the footy gods are even crying that the Dragons lost to the Tigers, and he just gave me the look of like, why?
Just don't.
But yeah, no, the Cowboys just adopted to the conditions quicker, and it definitely paid off for them. And Roosters seem to be nowhere besides scoring one try in the last minute.
Yep, that's exactly right. The Cowboys rock solid for 78 minutes, only for Angus Crichton to find his way to the try line late in the piece. But look, the Roosters went away from the game plan that saw them nil the Warriors in Auckland a week prior. They just did not back their defense one bit like they did the week before. Whether it was because it was changing conditions or it was just simply they all the game plan went out the window. But their goal line defense did not hold up. I mean,
No.
Cowboys just pushed up in numbers, as short passes, grubber kicks, and probably either clutch try of the year, a drink water bomb that goes up. No Rooster wants a bar of it, except Murray Taulagi, who just finds Townsend back on the inside.
Yeah, that was a spectacular try. But what Roosters couldn't stop was Ruben Cotter close to the try line.
No, certainly not. I was tossing and turning about who to pick from the Cowboys as the standout player for the Magic round, and I ended up going with Ruben Cotter. A very nice performance, but I still think very short of an Origin retention at this point. 1 try, 142 running meters, 5 tackle breaks, 1 line break, and how about this? 36 tackles, no misses.
I thought he had 2 tries, but it must have been...
No, he just had the 1.
No, it must have been someone else that got another try instead of him. Anyway. But yeah, he was impossible to stop close to the try line.
Now just a nice short ball from Cohen Hare, set it up for Cotter on the spot, and just a solid workhorse for the middle for North Queensland.
Exactly.
Especially no Tamalolo, no Jeremiah Nene, 2 other forwards who have had big raps on them coming into this year and have not delivered in the slightest.
No, they certainly haven't whatsoever. And Taumalo's on big dollars, and Nano, he's somewhat on big dollars as well.
Yeah, close to $2 million per annum for those 2 forwards alone. And then you throw $1 million on top for Valentine Holmes, the game's richest centre by far.
Yeah.
But considering his goal kicking and field goal expertise have come in clutch at the right time, you'd probably say to Cowboys fans, he is worth every dollar.
Bloody oath he is at the moment. Ever since coming back from the NFL, he's gone...
He looked sluggish at fullback across 2020 and 21, but then...
Moved to centre, and
he's... from Todd Payton, the move move him to the centres. Scott Drinkwater, the fullback.
And it's worked. Well,
After the hammer went down injured early on. But the moment
it worked a
he put
treat,
those
barring this year.
things
Hasn't been
into
working
place,
so well.
the Cowboys looked a completely different side. And I think once again, and word was I heard they got flogged at trade, ending after some disappointing results, especially that loss against the Sharks.
And it paid off.
It paid off, and it's a good sign for North Queensland in what has been a very dour year so far.
Is that the turning point for him this season?
Well, we'll see. We'll get to that shortly. As for the Roosters is travelling to the Golden West, Penrith still have a very strong home record. Only one loss out there so far this year, and that did come in round 1.
Yes. To the Broncos.
As for the Roosters, they really need to readjust their defence. I think they just couldn't stop them close to the line.
Well, apparently Sam Walker is like an unorthodox player, so he can run around here, there, everywhere. But because they haven't got him in the side, they need...
Because they want to persist with Manu at 5A.
But they haven't really played their best footy, though. I'm not saying Joey Manu is a bad player, because he's not. He's a solid player, but...
More than a solid player. He's the game's best centre. He's the game's second best fullback, probably in everyone's estimations. And he's probably amongst the top 5'8" as well.
Yeah. But, yeah, Sam Walker's probably that missing thing that hasn't been able to... No, Christopher haven't been to play the best footy. That's just my view, or they're just still... But I've also heard that the the Manu-Kiri combination is getting stronger and stronger each week, so...
Well, the fact they've only had 3 weeks together for 2 wins, 1 loss, that just shows you what exactly the Roosters are going through at the moment.
Yeah.
As for Penrith, I think they'll look at what the Cowboys did, and even if it is a dry track, I'm looking at Nathan Cleary to really open back up again, I think.
And the home support, too, will just be...
The home ground factor is a huge advantage. It's to the way of the Panthers, and I can't look past them. 7-12, I think they condemned the Roosters to staying outside the top 8 at this point.
Yeah, I had to agree with that. Penrith 7-12, home ground. It will be a packed out stadium at Blue Bet on a Friday night.
Now moving to the first of the Saturday triple header, it is the South Sydney Rabbitohs up against the West Tigers at Accor Stadium.
For the Tigers, John Bateman's back after being a late withdrawal last week after suffering a bit of a hamstring niggle in warm-up, other than which sees Asu Kapal going to the bench and Alex Seyfarth to the 18th man.
As for the second-placed Rabbitohs, Jason Demetriou has an absolute luxury of naming an unchanged lineup to run out onto Accor Stadium this coming Saturday. Now, of course, South's big winners against the Melbourne Storm at Magic Round. The Tigers also scoring their second win of the season, downing the St. George Illawarra Dragons late in the piece to win 18 points to 16.
Unfortunately, yes. Please don't remind me.
Now, let's remind the viewers at home
No.
how the result panned out. Now,
No.
I was getting bagged by this imbecile over here saying, the Dragons are going to win. The Dragons are going to win. And I kept telling them. The Tigers will win this game.
And the bloody Muppets jinxed them.
Not a matter of jinxing. The Tigers just got off to a much better start than St. George Illawarra. And they were very lucky to actually get away and come from behind.
Only if Ravalawa didn't get taken out the touch or placed the ball on the out when you went to pull it down. Very late on in the match. If he scores, we win.
At the left edge of the Dragons got absolutely mincemeated. They did not handle Jareem Buller well at all. And he was the standout for the Tigers on this occasion. 180 run meters, 1 try assist, 6 tackle breaks, a line break assist, and 2 hit-ups with the ball in hand.
For his what? Is that his 4th or 3rd game?
I believe that's his 4th appearance.
He has played exceptional since making his debut. It's going to be very hard for Dane Laurie and Charlie Staines to get back into the fullback slot.
Well, Staines is still sidelined long term. Dane Laurie's probably on the outer as it stands, and at Concord. So Buller is the future of the West Tigers going forward. But the crossfield kick from Luke Brooks to help set up the first try, I think it was Stafford Toa, or was that David
Stafford Toa.
Yeah, and Buller almost had a second try assist as well if he just didn't knock on in the kick contest. But that just
Brandon
shows
Wade came a 40-20.
Oh, yeah, that was
the second 40-20 of the whole weekend.
Following Reed Marnie's 40-20 in the
and there were only two 40-20s all weekend. Ben Hunt tried one, but the ball just bounced and rolled back in the infield at the crucial time.
Now, I will give the Dragons credit here. They did give Jaden Sullivan what he wants, game time and an opportunity to start at halfback.
And bloody oath, he made it worthwhile. 2 tries.
God, he's got some bloody toe on him. You said it to me on day 3 up there. He has got toe on him.
Bloody oath he does.
But I think the one thing he's lacking is organisational skills at the deaf.
Yes, I have to give him that. But he'll work on that, hopefully.
Now, there was a very lucky call the Tigers got. Well, it's not really luck. It was a legal call. But
it's a controversial call.
Some of us thought it should have been a penalty to the Dragons.
Which it should have been.
But listening back to the Fox League commentary later on, it turns out they were happy because Brooks gets a goal line dropout away. It looks to have bounced 9 metres infield.
Which it did.
And then it bounced out. But
Which
instead
should
of
have
the
been a penalty
going to the Dragons, it's instead a scrum awarded to the Tigers.
Bullshit.
Because the touch judge deemed it to have gone 10 metres the moment it bounced out.
Shouldn't be like that.
But
if it bounces out,
it was.
If it bounces out.
And it passed the 10-metre line. So it was judged not to have touched out before... or it bounced out. So that ball was still live as all hell.
So the Tigers cheated their way to the victory.
No, they didn't cheat.
Speaking about the referees favouring teams, they favour the Tigers there.
No, they just favour teams that don't choke in unchokeable scenarios.
No, they favour the team that is
so
last.
So that would be the Dragons.
No, they favour the team that was last in the ladder, so they make it look like that they're in the chance of making a rise through the ladder.
Point blank, the Dragons suck shit so hard it makes even Wakefield look good.
I still want to see what Graham Annesley said about that call.
I reckon he just passed it. He just passed it, but
no.
At the end of the day...
Should have been a penalty to the Dragons. Happy days, we go on to win.
No, it didn't happen.
It didn't, but it should have.
No, it shouldn't have happened.
Should have happened.
No, I disagree with you firmly on that.
Well, I disagree with your call.
Just cope. You've suffered 5 straight losses and lost to the side in last. You're lucky you're still above them on for and against at this point.
Yes.
Right. You're lucky not to actually be running last.
Well, we won't be after the Tigers lose to the Rabbitohs.
Oh, so you're very confident, you cheeky little shit, that they're going to win?
What, the Rabbitohs?
Yes.
Yeah, of course they will. They're a much better side than the Dragons.
All right, then. So what do South just need to do to keep the Tigers at the bottom of the ladder on for and against?
Kick their ass.
You're not giving me much to work with here.
No, well, where is it played at? Accor Stadium. Well, yeah. Alex Johnson will be in his strike scoring form in that corner.
Well, game 201, we'll see what happens there.
Latrell Mitt will be doing what he usually does. Campbell Graham will be try scoring again in that on the other side of the ground. There'll be a lot of dummy half runs from Cook. Yes, I know the Tigers have got a decent forward pack on them, but I think South will just be will be too good for them. Walk over a great kicking game. So will Ilias as well.
You're really bitter about this at the moment, aren't you? You're just saying things the Rabbitohs should do just because the Dragons couldn't. That is honestly what you are saying out here right now.
Yeah, but Tigers won't stand a chance against South Sydney. Come on, South are what? Top 8?
Top 2 at the moment.
Top 2, and the Tigers are last.
But they beat the Premiers, remember? They beat the Premiers when no one else thought they would.
But the Penrith haven't been best this year either, mind you.
And they probably won't. I still reckon they might kick at the back third of the seat. ease and get into the top four, or stay or stay in the top four, I should say, if they're still in it.
But I'm going to say South Sydney win this one 21 plus.
You're really coping at the moment. My guy, it is not healthy for you in the slightest to be on this much Red V copium as it currently stands.
But be realistic.
In saying that, I think Jareem Buller is a real threat that South Sydney really need to address, because the last time the Tigers and the Rabbitohs played, the Tigers actually upset South in an Anzac round thriller.
Over 12 months ago.
Still, most of the core players are there, and if the South are going to win this, they're not going to win this through finesse. The Tigers have managed to drag everyone into the gutter through hard running and a good kicking game off Luke Brooks. God, that's something that wouldn't dream of saying in a lifetime.
Won't last though.
But South need to avoid getting dragged into the gutter. The Tigers
won't.
The Tigers will want to play a real drag it, beat me up sort of style of game. South Sydney can't afford to do it. But it might be a false positive, the fact that they beat the Melbourne Storm the way they did. So there could be an element of false confidence to it, but nevertheless, I will say South Sydney win this, but I don't think it's going to be 21 plus. I think this is going to be a lot tighter again. I think there's at least 1-6 in this for the Rabbitohs to win.
You're delusional.
Yeah, whatever, 16, man. Now, speaking of delusion, the North Queensland Cowboys line up against St. George Illawarra.
Dragons, same 17. Ben Hunt for his 300th game. Mbai, Romain, Hooker, Sullivan on the bench. Couchman, he's coming off the bench. Has been named 18th man. So, I'm guessing what will happen will be Hunt goes to Hooker. When Mbai comes off, Sullivan comes on again like they did in Magic round.
Well, the Cowboys, all the confidence in the world after really causing an upset against a top 8 favourite in the Roosters. Unchanged lineup, Todd Payton has been able to name. And of course, back at home, which is always a good helping hand when you're coming off a big upset win, is to just return home and play in front of the home crowd.
Yeah, I mean, they had very solid support at Suncorp too. Well, as there was a banner said,
well,
Trail
fair,
Corp.
all the 4 Queensland clubs had a very good supporter base.
Obviously, Broncos and Redcliffe more than Gold Coast and Cowboys.
Yeah.
Being home to
the 2 Brisbane sides easily had it over both the Northern and the Southern Queensland teams.
But yeah, Cowboys obviously are in the bottom 4 as well.
Well, they got about 4 wins to their name at the moment, so they're practically level with the Eels, just behind the Raiders, but they're level with the likes of Parramatta and Newcastle as well.
If they had lost to the Roosters, then they would have been kind of around
joint bottom 4-ish. I mean, with 17 teams, it's sort of hard to say bottom 4 when you look at 13th and you realise, oh yeah, they're not bottom 4 anymore. That's just like
mid-table.
13 is like a mid-table side now.
Exactly.
It's like, do you say bottom 4 still? Or is it you expand it to bottom 5?
Yeah. I liked what you said about Jaden Sullivan. Like, I liked what he did against the Tigers, but it's just organisation isn't quite up to scratch yet.
And look, I'm not blaming Tyrell Sloan for what happened on that last play, but the fact that he had a 4-on-2, he plays short to either Kerr or Murdoch Masilla, the Dragons win. He goes for the fancy cutout pass that gives the Tigers time and space to get their defence set, which led to Ravalawa being shown the
We
sideline.
should have just gone through the hands and won. Moses Sully could have scored on his own.
Again,
Once that ball
the
got
defence scrambled.
when
Because Sloan played long, it just negated every opportunity the Dragons had with that.
But Moses Sully, he's big, he's got speed. He could have crashed his way over the 2 Tigers defenders and scored their winning try.
Well, he didn't. He simply didn't.
I know, but I don't know what was thinking through Sully's head, though, because he could have gone himself.
Well, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Anthony Griffin will have hell to pay if the Dragons lose this week.
Well, apparently, they haven't got rid of Anthony Griffin this week because they don't want to take the spotlight off Ben Hunt's 300th match. So it's at least one more week for Anthony Griffin. So it's either next week we'll hear the news, or other news has said that the Dragons are going to keep him for the rest of this season.
I don't buy it. I reckon.
I don't buy that
loss,
either.
Griffin's out the door after Ben Hunt's 300th.
Yeah.
And then Ben Hunt follows him suit.
Oh, I don't think Ben Hunt will leave.
He
hasn't-
surprised.
Mate, hasn't said anything. He hasn't come out and said he doesn't want to leave. Even his manager has come out and said that he hasn't asked for anything.
Yeah, how many times have we heard that before, only for the opposite to turn out true?
Yeah, but
How many times?
I don't know.
Remember all the biggest shitstorm stories of 2017 involving Matt Moylan and James Maloney?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Remember how you told me with absolute confidence that Matt Moylan was staying at Penrith when I was guaranteeing you that he was going to join the Sharks in 2018.
And look what's happened.
It happened.
Matt Moylan is still at the Sharks. James Manoa is now retired. Well, playing semi-professional league in France.
But still, I will not bet against Ben Hunt agitating for an early release if and when Griffin gets the chop.
Well, Ben Hunt has said if we get another coach, just set the club 2 years back. We don't need that.
Anyway.
Although, I did also hear somewhere else. I believe it was... I think it was on NRL 360. I believe. I could be wrong. Maybe the Dragons... It was either that or a short on the Sunday Footy Show. Anyway, one of those two.
So just say generally in the media, there's
Yeah.
been talk.
Yeah. Dragons could maybe hand on to Griffin for one more year. Then maybe bring the master coach Wayne Bennett back. Because he's off he's off contract. No. I'm not...
Get the fuck out of here.
Hey.
They are not bringing Wayne Bennett back to the goal.
I didn't say that.
It is absolutely not going to
But
happen.
listen to the reasoning.
Get lost.
Griffin...
No, get out of here.
Griffin, right, they said that they keep some stability and start shaping a roster now, then Bennett can come back in and then...
This is more delusional than you were on Sunday.
Oh, I'm not the one that said it. In the media has said it. One of the experts on Channel 9...
A nameless expert.
I can't remember who said it.
From the major broadcasters that you absolutely can't name.
I swear to God, it was on... One of them said on Fox League...
Oh, so now they're throwing Fox League under the bus.
Well,
now.
NRL 360, it's on one of those ones. One of them has come out and said that.
Not going to happen.
I'm just repeating what
It
they
is
said.
absolutely not
They
going
said
to
could.
happen.
Doesn't mean it will. Could. But no, Griffin will be gone after this week.
Wayne's not coming back to the Red V. Absolutely no way.
No, I'd like to think he would be, but no.
No, that is absolutely... You're precious. You are absolutely precious.
Don't call me precious. Call the freaking whoever else said it precious.
Cowboys win 7-12. You just make it too easy sometimes.
Look, I hope we win. I bloody hope we do win for Ben Hunt. But after the performance, I mean, I'm not. Yes, I'm disappointed the Dragons lost to the Tigers.
I'm not.
Of course you're not. I am. But we're so close. So close. But yeah, I'm going to have to say the Cowboys win this one 7-12.
A little bit louder. I don't think the fans at home heard you.
Cowboys 7-12, unfortunately. I was nearly going to say 1-6.
I still think old mate round the corner is still having trouble hearing that, Mark, because you speak a little bit more into the microphone.
Anyway, Saturday night game in Canberra. I've got the Raiders up against the Eels.
Now, as for Parramatta, of course, lost Mitchell Moses for the next 11 days after he suffered a Category 1 head knock in the 26-24 loss to the Titans. So Jake Arthur will start in the halves for the first time this year in the only change Brad Arthur was forced into making.
Bit of surprise for Canberra. Albert Hoppolay is returning, but Xavier Savage is dropped to 18th man in the only change. Now
The only reason why Savage was there in round 10 to begin with was because Albert Hoppolay had to go to a wedding. So it was like, Ricky Stewart needed to plug a gap. Savage was the man. So
but the performance Savage has put in, why wouldn't you keep him in the side?
Hey, look, that's just the way he set it up. He's got Jared Croker back in the side, which no one thought would have been possible a year ago.
Well, apparently, Jared Croker was saying he's not retiring anytime soon.
Ricky talked him out of retiring.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Parramatta, I mean, look, Mitchell Moses' goal kicking could have easily won him that game.
He was shocking off the boot.
Deadly serious. If Mitchell Moses, instead of being 1 from 4, if he was simply 2 from 4, or even the best case 3 from 4, Parramatta win that game. They beat the Titans.
Yes, they would have. But he had an absolute shocker off a kick.
And look, losing Gufferson wasn't exactly ideal, but he shouldn't have given away that professional foul.
No, there was no need for that.
They were up 4-0 when he went to the bin. The Titans then laid on 2 tries, where it was as simple as you like. Foran bagged a double in the first half alone.
Yeah, and whilst Gutho was in the bin.
It's like Fafita targeted that right edge, knowing there was no one out the back, and Foran pounced.
Yeah.
That was as simple as that. And the Eels struggled to get back into the game after that point.
That was, what, 4 points behind at one stage? Close to the end of the match until Gold Coast scored not right at the end, but very close to the end, and that pretty much all but sealed it for them.
But there's one name on everyone's lips that just lit up Suncorp Stadium on the final game. Alofi Khan Pereira.
Again.
2 tries, 142 run meters, 2 tackle breaks and a line break. So he'll pick up the full 3 votes for me right there. That second try that he ran 80 meters to score. Nobody within Kui, not even a red V in sight as he ran and down.
Actually, yes, there was. Southern end of the ground in the Dragons supporter bay.
On the field.
Well, not on the field, but in the stands there was.
Yeah, anyway, and I honestly think he's going to easily play State of Origin for Queensland and this year. My 2 votes this week.
Oh, that's a big call.
Goes to David Fafita. 147 running meters, 1 try assist, 6 tackle breaks, 1 line break assist, and 4 offloads to his name.
Simple. He's going back to basics, David Fafita, and it's paying off big time. That's a big call for Khan Pereira of what you said for making his Queensland debut.
No, I didn't say that. I said Fafita gets his recall.
Oh, Fafita. I thought you meant about Khan Pereira.
Oh my
Sorry.
God, you've got a limp dragon on the brain. You're just sad dragon everywhere. It's rubbed off on your
You're talking about Khan Pereira, and then you said, Origin, but yeah.
I said Origin recall. You're not listening.
Sorry.
Clean the salty tears out of your ears and eyes before...
Oh, get lost. You lost to Canberra and Gold Coast for crying out loud. So you can't laugh when your 2 teams lost.
Anyway...
Unless you had 2 teams... I only had 1 team to cry about. You had 2.
This is a result that I think can go either way. Parramatta will be icing themselves after the fact they let that game slip well out of their grasp. Canberra, they're red hot at the moment. I mean, dead set red hot.
Yeah, and without Mitch Moses for Parramatta, that will struggle.
It's a big ask for Jake Arthur to step up. I mean, he's done it in the past.
Hey, it's his first game since the grand final as well.
When he was an 18th man. But look,
Yeah.
I think it's a big ask for Arthur. Even though he stepped up in Moses' absence before, or Gufferson would step up here, you're coming into a red-hot Canberra Raiders outfit who, they can beat anyone at the moment. I mean, like, from low-ranked sides like Canterbury to the best at the moment in Brisbane.
I don't think they're not that good to beat Brisbane at the moment.
They've already beaten Brisbane. That's the point I'm saying about this current form the Raiders are in. They could beat anyone at this point in time, and I think at home, I think Canberra will be too strong here. I think 1-6, the Raiders continue on with their steady build where they just...
So you reckon the Raiders can still beat the Sharks at the moment?
Oh, yeah. I'd think if you played them again, I think the Raiders could possibly win again.
Don't know.
They're racing up the ladder very, very fast when no one else thought they would. I'm not going to miss the jump here.
All right. The surprising thing, as I said, was Xavier Savage getting dropped, which is a very big surprise. And don't know what Ricky's on down there, but a bit of a shock. But I still reckon the Raiders win this one 1-6. Going to be a close contest.
But we'll see how that one plays out. Now to the first of the Sunday afternoon games. The Newcastle Knights are fresh off the bye, up against the Gold Coast Titans, and the Titans have had the luxury of naming really just one change to the side that beat Parramatta and round 10. Cruz leaving a straight swap with Keanu Keeney, who shifts back to 18th man, and whilst at this point AJ Brimson and Toby Sexton still on the sideline. I should have really spoken that out sooner before reading it.
The Knights returning the trip from Bali. Kurt Mann is still out. Crossland is at dummy half. Adam Elliott is joining the bench. In other words, the unchanged side from when we last saw him 2 weeks ago.
If we all think Anthony Griffin is going to be the first coach sacked this year, then the next 2 or 3 would also have to be both Adam O'Brien and Justin Holbrook. But I will admit, Holbrook in the last fortnight has sort of quietened the critics around the Titans at the moment.
It'll be Adam O'Brien.
Nowhere near perfect, but Gold Coast is still doing enough to stay afloat. And I think the Titans are actually in the 8th at the moment.
Sure. No, I think they're just out.
But they're very, very close now. A lot closer to where Newcastle are at the moment. Kalen Ponga, 3rd game back. We'll see how much that fortnight's worth of training works out for him when he lines up against the Titans this Sunday in his 3rd game back from serious concussion.
Mm-hmm. Look, the reason why I say Adam O'Brien will be the second coach, or 3rd coach, I'm going to say more second coach, he's gone. The rate that Newcastle have been performing this year hasn't been the best. Why would you let your team go to frickin' Bali? Why wouldn't you do like what Ponga has done and other very few have done, stayed back and trained their house down?
They should be. All of them should be. And the fact that...
Not all of them went to Bali. Only a few went to Bali. A few went elsewhere around. But a very few stayed back in Newcastle and trained.
But that's
Ponga
just a
being one of
bad
them.
look for Adam O'Brien's tenure, which you
But
could
he got
almost
told.
say is quickly becoming untenable.
Yeah. Well, he told him, go and do whatever you want in the bye round.
He
I
should-
wouldn't be doing that.
Robinson wouldn't have said that. Bellamy would be...
God, even Anthony Griffin wouldn't have said that.
No coach in their right mind, and I'm not accusing Adam
I
O'Brien.
mean, end of
anything.
season, yeah, sure, do whatever you want. It's end of season, not mid-season buys.
Go to Bali Mad Monday. Just don't do it when we're in desperate need of a win and we're coming off a bye.
On the post show on Friday night, Bracey absolutely gave Newcastle a, what'd you say, what'd you call it?
A dig. He's had a dig.
Yes. He said, the Gold Coast play the Knights if they return from Bali. Like, come on, that is a very good dig.
Well, I tell you what, if Newcastle lose this game, some of those players that did go, they might as well wish they stayed over
One of
there.
them being Lockie Fitzgibbon, I know that much. I only know he went to Bali. I know others, but I know he's one of them that went over to Bali.
I think the Titans really need to be careful because they could easily slip up in this game like some other clubs have done in the past as well. But if they back what they did to the Eels, which is going to be a massive confidence booster, given they are the grand finalists from last year, they put their heart into it. But I think the Titans walk away at 7-12. I think David Fafita will be going at Tyson Frizzell and Kalen Ponga hard on that right edge all day, all afternoon. And I think Khan Pereira could potentially bag another hat-trick. Or first career hat-trick. I'll call it there. Khan Pereira to bag a hat-trick.
Fair enough. Well, it'll be, say about 20,000 Novocastrians.
Sunday afternoon, I reckon 20.
On Mother's Day here in Australia as well, so there'll be quite a few out in force. I'm going to say the half-pissed Newcastle side will try, but they won't be good enough compared to how Gold Coast are going. So Gold Coast win this one 7 points to 12. And Newcastle will be too drunk to play.
And finally, to wrap things off of round 11, it's the Manly Sea Eagles at home to the Cronulla Sharks. Both sides running into this unchanged, but the Sharks are also kicking themselves at the moment after getting run over the top of by the Dolphins at Magic round 36-16. Oh, shut up.
Another one that you said, the Sharks will kick the Dolphins' ass. Here's me saying, the Dolphins
every 10 punters would probably have thought the same thing. 9 out of every 10 punters. You're part of that one unpunters club that think, the Tigers are going to beat the Dragons. Oh, wait. Hey, I'm going to pick up a clean sweep with the Dragons beating them, and I'm going to sing the team song like an idiot.
Fellas, I was in the 1% that got Dolphins right.
Look.
Convincingly.
It was convincing. It was...
Especially Tiwari. Holy smoke.
Balance Tiwari.
What a performance on debut.
Look at his thighs. How thick were his thighs? I mean, damn, son, they're thick. And just, when he actually got onto the ball, it was like, damn.
He's got the...
It's like a mini Talakai, given the fact... The fact he's come from rugby union, I haven't really coalesced my thoughts completely in that last little bit. This bloke was playing union. The groundskeeper at KO Stadium
last year
started playing Redcliffe in the Host Plus Cup, where he was absolutely carving it up.
Gets his debut and scores 2 tries.
2 tries, 91 run meters, 5 tackle breaks, and 2 line breaks. This bloke was an absolute unit, and I can see why the Redcliffe faithful love this guy.
Oh, bloody oath.
That is quickly a fan favourite out that way.
Oh, no doubt about that. That is one of the best debuts I've seen.
But
one of the best.
To put it simply, I think Wayne Bennett just gave them a simple message. Just go out there and play footy.
And a win in his 900th match.
900 games, and he wins that major milestone. Whether the Wayne factor was prevalent or not, I mean, it's the right edge of the Dolphins was carving the Sharks up.
Well, apparently Sean O'Sullivan was saying that, he was giving them a belt, not training. And then on captain's run day, he's kind of like he was cracking jokes with them and throwing jokes in there on captain's run, saying, right, let's go and do this, boys.
Well, they did. And kudos to Wayne Bennett. It's just this man at 73 years of age, still delivering the goods.
Yep. He could even take the debut new club to finals footy in their first season.
Well, they're halfway of getting the minimum 24 competition points they need to play finals football from a top 8 position.
Yeah.
They only need to win 6 more times, the minimum guarantee.
Everyone would have thought
I don't think that's enough for this year. I reckon they're going to need at least 30 competition points.
The experts were saying that the Dolphins weren't going to win more than 6 games this year.
I reckon 7 or 8 was fair enough, but so far they can go anywhere at this point.
They've gone
6 and 4.
6 and 4 to start the year with a bye this week.
Yep, they get the bye and they're doing some very good. Well, they're doing the Lord's work at the moment. The Lord's work of rugby league. They're going out to the Northern Territory and they're putting on clinics. I love that.
Now that's how you make your time.
Oh yeah,
and your week off.
Genuinely make it count. Build the grassroots in non-league territory so there's an opportunity, there's a pathway, and who knows, maybe with the expansion question, someone will then walk up and say, you know what, maybe we can field a side from the Northern Territory.
What, Eagles how many times have they taken their game up to?
Just one game, and they've done it for several years.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. How many years have they done that for? Several. And we saw how packed out it was on the Anzac round against Brisbane.
Mind you, TIO only had like a 10,000 seat capacity, so
Oh, yeah. But also they'll have... Well, it's more of a cricket ground. As
it's more of an AFL.
AFL, sorry, yeah.
No, cricket AFL.
Same
same difference.
Same oval, same shape oval ground.
Look, we've already seen how far Manly have fallen off a cliff. If like they were lucky to have beaten the Tigers, but the last couple of results, it's all gone downhill from that point.
Bloody oath they have.
And look, Daly Cherry Evans, I've said it before, he'll do everything he can to try and keep Manly competitive. And I know Anthony Seibold's trying to think of any plan possible. But the Sharks are looking for a big statement right here.
Oh, bloody
There is no fear of the Sharks playing at Brookvale Oval anymore. Even though historically they've never played well there, Nico Hines will make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
Sharks win this 7-12. A massive statement is brewing.
7-12. I'm going to say Sharks win this one 13-21. 13-20.
Yeah, I don't think the margin's going to be that big, but I think...
What,
Cronulla
even after Manly's performance on the weekend?
To adjust after losing a game they shouldn't have probably lost. Dead set. They shouldn't have lost against the Dolphins, yet they did, and I think that's a massive wake-up call for Craig Fitzgibbon. But there will be retribution coming.
Oh, yeah, no doubt there would be.
And on that note, that is everything we've got in this NRL portion of the podcast, but don't go anywhere. We'll take a short break, and we'll bring you all content of round 11 of the Betfred Super League coming up. Actually, round 12. I think I've got that right. It was round 11.
We are up to round 12. Yes.
Round 12 coming up after this short break.